Welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women podcast. I'm Kamika Dillard, your host. I am here to help facilitate and give space to Black women, for all the Black women who have been through something, pushed out, passed over, told to shrink. We are here to speak truth to power. We share our stories not just to heal, but to help each other rise. Because in this wild world that we're in, our survival isn't just personal, it's a collective. So pull up a chair, bring your whole self, and let's move forward together, one story at a time. All right. So, as many of you guys already know, I am one of the now 375,000 Black women that have been let go since this administration has come into existence. And every week, I'm going to share a little tip of what I'm doing to get through this moment in time. And this week, I want to talk about the app Whatnot. So, really funny story. One of my good girlfriends that went to UCLA with me, I reached out to her because I was feeling a little about my entrepreneurial journey. She's been an entrepreneur for over 13 years. She has her own jewelry company. And I just asked, hey, can I come down? I just want to see you work for a day. And she said, sis, come on down. I am doing my Whatnot show today. And I'm like, what is Whatnot? This sounds crazy. And she said, it's QVC on crack. And I'm like, this will be interesting. So I went down to her studio or to her office, and she had all her jewelry laid out on the table. It was fantastic. And she started auctioning her jewelry. I've never seen anything like this before. I've never even heard of this app. And when I tell you it was phenomenal seeing this Black woman in her environment, not only did she know her jewelry, not only did she know her product, she understood her audience, she was engaging. It was phenomenal. I walked away not only feeling inspired because of what I just witnessed, because not only did sis do all that in a few hours, she made almost $5,000 in one day. And when I talked to Cira about, why did she decide to do this? And, if she could give me any type of advice, what would it be? And she said, the first thing that I tell everyone is you got to be coachable. So get a business coach, get a leadership coach, whatever it looks like, get a coach, be coachable. Number two, you got to be resilient. So one thing I noticed with her is that she went through products and not everyone brought her product. Not everyone brought every product that she sold because literally it's QVC on crack. So she was showing a product. They had 15 seconds to bid on it. If they didn't bid, she would move on. So resiliency is key. And then number three is being consistent. So consistency in terms of, hey, I'm going to do this every Tuesday and Friday, and I'm going to make a ton of money, or maybe not make a ton of money, but what I'm going to do is put myself out there and let my audience, let my consumers know that every Tuesday and Friday they can expect to see me on this app selling. And so, how did I take all those learnings and distill them down to the layoff tip of the week? I think Cira said it best. One, you have to be consistent. So, I know many of us are struggling. We have gotten out of our 9 to 5, waking up, eating our breakfast, going to work, getting off work, working out, maybe not, going home, watching TV, whatever it might be. But I want to tell you guys that the key to surviving this period is creating routine. So take some time and figure out what is the thing that you're going to do consistent for the week. And I'm not saying that you have to do it every day, but Mondays should look like something. Tuesday should look like something. So for me, every Tuesday, I go to the gathering spot. I work from the gathering spot. That is my consistent behavior. So find something to ground yourself in terms of being consistent. So we're going to talk more about this with our next guest. Um, you know, right now I'm creating a space, like I said, for Black women to come in and tell their stories. So my next guest is one of my good girlfriends. Maiya Winston. Me and Maiya met about 4 years ago, I think, at this point, on a trip to Ghana. And when we got there, of course, there's a group of women. I didn't know her from a can of paint, but there's something about LA girls and girls from Cali. We can just spot each other. We know what each other look like. We got a little bit of that Cali swag, that Cali cool, and instantly we connected. So, a little bit about Maiya. Maiya is a founder of Be a Possibility, which is a Dallas, Texas based culture and inclusion consultant company. She is a global DE&I leader and an executive scholar. With over 15 years of corporate experience, she has seen firsthand the difference that working with purpose and passion can make on the lives and careers of employees. Maiya's consulting areas of focus include diversity, equity, and inclusion, the real DE&I, within corporate and nonprofit spaces, leadership development, and employee engagement. She is a National Diversity Council certified diversity professional, an Aspen Institute Economic Opportunity Fellow, a certified career coach like myself, and served as executive director of the DFW Collective of Black Employee Resource Groups, also known as BERGs. Maiya earned her Bachelor's of Art in Theater from the University of Southern California. That's where we differ, go Bruins. And an executive MBA at the University of Texas, Arlington. She is currently working on her first book and has a lifelong love of learning. Let's put our hands together and welcome Maiya Winston. How you doing, Maiya? Yes.
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I am awesome, sister. So excited to have you on today.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm so honored to be your first guest.
oh,
Like, this is great. I appreciate this a lot.
awesome. So I see already you have a shirt on that says overqualified. Let's start
Indeed.
let's start there almost. So we know that we are telling stories right now of the 375,000 plus Black women that have been let go. Tell me, what was the reaction when you found out that you yourself was going to be among that number?
Yeah. So, thank you, first of all, for also bringing light and elevating the space for women to share their stories because there are so many of us and we are out here and some of us saw it coming, some of us didn't. For me, my immediate reaction actually, so it was I think the timing of it was not expected, but I was not surprised that it was coming. As you read in my bio, I was a DEI practitioner for an organization. So, especially as at the end of 2024, I started asking the question out loud almost weekly. Do I still have a job? Are y'all still on board with DEI? Are you still going to be living into this or are you going with the wind? Are you phasing this out? And it was, oh no, 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 we're keeping it. No, no, we really believe in this. And it was like, yeah, okay. All right. I'm just gonna take you at your word, although the writing was already on the wall. Uh, but in finding out, I got an IM from the person who was my manager, just like at 1:30 in the afternoon, saying, do you have 5 minutes? I'm like, okay. I jump on a call. It's this person and HR saying, yeah, well, today's going to be your last day. And reading through their script. I'm trying not to cuss. Reading
You
through
can
their
curse.
script.
This is a safe space. We're going to keep it all the way 100 here. Yes.
Yeah, but reading through their little script.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, oh, after this call, your account's gonna be deactivated. And I was like, all right, cool. Um, and so I got off the call and it wasn't like shock. I wasn't like, I was like, bet. Like, I's free, cheesy bread, I'm free. Like I was like, I at that point, I had gotten sick of fighting people
Mm,
over common sense.
mm,
And this may sound very arrogant. I'm not stupid. You can't tell me that what I'm telling you is wrong when I have given you fact-based information and also experience-based information, but you're saying, I don't think that's going to work. I didn't ask you what you thought. You put me in a position to be the voice of authority in this specific area. I'm giving you recommendations and direction, and you're countering it because you think it should go differently. That's cute and all, but that's not how this is supposed to go. Because if the tables were turned and I'm telling you how to do your job without backing it up with some sort of proof or process, then you're calling me all kinds of insubordinate
Mm,
and rude and unprofessional. But I'm just supposed to sit here and take it when you're telling me that things that I know to be true and that I have the receipts to back up are not how things should go. And it's like, okay, you know what, you know, common sense ain't common, and I'm not about to sit up here and argue with a wall.
I know that's
So
right.
if you think that that's how it's going to go, you got it, Toyota. Make it happen for yourself. But I'm going to document and have that I made you this recommendation based upon what I know to be true. That level of gaslighting, I'm sure, is not unfamiliar for people who may be listening to this. And again, it goes into this. I'm not just talking from a space of, oh, I think this is it. You read some of those. That's not all of my credentials. That's not all of my experience. I'm not telling people things in a professional environment just because I think so or I read it one time on Twitter. Absolutely not. I study this, I live it, I talk to other people, I make sure that I am in community with understanding how things develop and how we can be better as humans in order to make business work, to make sure that there are opportunities for other people. So when there are those who maybe read a headline and then start to debate or pull from the racist, script of, oh, well, what about this and what about that to counter what is not working or to counter a solution, it's because they want to maintain a problem.
Absolutely.
So I say all that to say is when they said, it's your last day, I was like, bet, cool, I go get my nails done.
I know that's right.
I don't have to come sit here at this computer and pretend like the work that I'm actually doing for you all is making a difference because you're disregarding it altogether anyway. So thank you for no longer wasting my time. And honestly, the only thing that I miss is the money.
So I think that there's a common theme in terms of talking to so many Black women is that when they found out that they were being let go, there was a sense of relief almost because it's been exhausting. It's been tiring, one, knowing that all this is happening, especially in your space particular. And instead of like, let's call a thing, it's like, no, we're going to backdoor you. We're going to talk in riddles. We're not going to give you straight answers. So I'm
Mhm.
hearing a lot about relief. So your layoff happened sometime in July of this year.
Mhm. Correct.
So tell me what your first 30 days were like.
Ah, that's good. First 30 days. Okay. So first 30 days, let's see. So a friend of mine, good friend, shout out to Courtney Page. She was actually she's one of my golf buddies. She was having a birthday party 2 days after I was let go. And so I was helping her with that. And so it was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and help finish setting up for this party. She had rented out a golf course and was having this big wang dang doodle at for her birthday. So I kind of was distracted by that a little bit, which was great. And also, I love golf now. It's so fun. So it was like, oh, okay, well, I can go play golf and kind of don't have to worry about scheduling around anything. And so that was kind of the first few days. Then after that, it was like, oh, I don't have to get up at 8 because I don't have a meeting, or I don't have to make sure that I didn't miss anything from my international colleagues overnight,
Mm,
first thing in the morning. So my phone not going off. It's okay. So was kind of easing into it. I have my consultancy that I have had since late 2000, late 2020, early 2021. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna have to brush this stuff off. Although I never let it go dormant. It was always running in the background the whole time I had another role and even other roles. So I was just like, okay, well, at some point I'm gonna have to update this website and start getting back out there. But it was the logistics of it is okay, when is the insurance ending? What's gonna happen? You know, financially, what's happening here? Am I how long am I good for? And loosely developing a plan while also saying, I need to decompress
Mm,
because I have to come down from the things that I have been fighting. Like I don't have to fight them anymore. Cool. So I really need to let that go and release it. Um, there was a kind of hastily planned trip to Belize that happened in that first 30 days. Went to the water. It was lovely. Went and spent some time with family out of state and was like, okay, well, I need to start my job search and dusting off my resume. But again, these are things that I had never stopped doing.
mm.
So it wasn't like I was completely lost and I didn't know the market. I didn't know what was happening. No, I still knew. And I was still circulating my resume and doing
Uh-oh.
I was working with a community organization here in Dallas. Shout out to the Dallas Regional Chamber of Commerce. And I had been approached to moderate a conversation that they had in regard to AI and bias and diversity. And I called them after I got notification of being let go. And it's like, hey, I just want to let you all know I'm no longer with the company that I was with, and I don't want that to disrupt anything. And I know I'm scheduled to moderate this panel for you all. And if because I'm no longer with the company, I don't want there to be any kind of mess or drama to disrupt. So if you don't want me to do that anymore, I understand. They were like, absolutely not. We still want you to moderate that. So it almost was like I was still working. That's what it felt like, and it kinda still feels like that. I was telling someone the other day, I feel like I'm busier now than I was when I was actually working because there's so many places. It's like, "Oh, here's the opportunity. Here, come network with us here or come share with us here."
Yeah.
So, the first 30 days, there was not a whole bunch of downtime because it just felt like everything just kept moving in the way, and again, the only thing missing was the money.
So we're gonna get really transparent about money. I already
Yeah,
gave Maya a heads up that this is the place we're gonna have real conversations. We are not going to sugarcoat anything, especially because as women in general, we just don't talk about money enough. So when you were let go, one, did you get a package? Let's start there.
so legally, I cannot answer that in
Okay.
public.
Okay. Okay. So legally, she cannot answer that in public. Let's do with that as you may wish. Okay. So can we talk about your own personal finances? So
Sure.
most experts say that you should have at least 6 months of living expenses saved up. You should have this emergency fund, all these things. Did you have that saved up?
I had about um, 4 months.
Hmm.
So I had that as a, in my back pocket. So that was yet another reason I wasn't like automatically just freaking out is because it's like, oh, I'm not destitute. Like I was talking to my mom, she was like, "Do you need groceries? Do you need food?" I said, "Mom, I'm not destitute. Like I'm all right. Like I promise." Um, and so another thing that I did was my 401k with the organization. I rolled it over to a high yield IRA with my personal credit union, but I did take a percentage of it to put into savings to assist with, expenses moving forward. But the majority of that retirement money I did put into another high yield account off to the side, just so it's not at the whim of an organization and that I can contribute to it, but that it is also making money in the interim instead of just sitting somewhere or me taking a full disbursement of it and then getting that tax hit later. So I'm grateful that I did have some money to work with and to rely on without having to go and deplete things that maybe in prior circumstances would have been my go-to.
Mm,
And also understanding that this is not the first time I've been let go or laid off. So, like the economic downturn, 2007, 2008,
yep.
I was a whole different age range than than I am now. And thinking about, okay, I got to think about 10, 15, 20 years from now, what's going to happen versus it being just, oh, I'll just think about it later. We have to keep considering all sides, especially as we get older. Or let me see, for me, because I keep telling my friends, I say, I want to be irresponsible so bad. It
Don't
looks like so
you?
much
It's
fun.
such a
But
privilege.
listen, I want to be irresponsible so flipping bad. And I just can't do it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, kind of sucks. But thinking about that and putting that money aside, um, I am, like I said, I'm still applying for things while also working my own consultancy. I just had an event this week, which
Awesome.
gratefully was compensated. But thinking through, okay, looking at the economy, looking at how things are going, the sentiment as it relates to specifically the type of work that I do, where is that going? What does that look like? And in maybe 2 to 3 months having to make a decision. Right now, I'm in a home. Does it make sense to sell the house, scale down, and then reinvest some of that money, save some of that money, figure out what to do in the event that something else doesn't come through in that time frame? But it's also being grateful for those options
Mm.
and knowing that I was able to procure some of those things that are able to help future me while I was still generating a regular income on behalf of somebody else.
I think as Black women, we don't have a choice but to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D.
Absolutely.
As a millennial, or I think we're considered ex-millennials because we're right at the border. This is not our first rodeo at a layoff. I've shared my
Mhm.
story before. I've been laid off, I think, 3 times now at this point. I am 43. I know it's taboo to say our age and stuff, but um, based on the previous layoff that you experienced and this layoff that you're currently under or going through, what's the difference?
So previously, I was not in the same place that I was in mentally, financially. At the time of the previous layoff, I had a 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid at the time who is now 21. That's a different consideration to put into play. Um, and also, when that happened, and I'm trying to just kind of put it together, I also remember there being okay, I need to figure this out. I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do to keep myself just afloat because the child got to eat every night,
Mm,
whether or not I got a job or not. She has to eat. And that's not to say I don't have family members who are very supportive, and they were. But it's not anybody else's job to take care of me. And that may be a very, mindset. That's why my therapist stays on retainer. But it is very much I have to make sure that things are okay for me because it's not anybody else's job to take care of me. So with that job, I was working for an insurance company, and that job got laid off of that role and worked a couple of temp jobs, one in which like some old white man felt like he could yell at me in front of other people and told me to not look him in the eye when I talk to him,
oh,
and I need to address him by sir
oh,
when speaking to. I said absolutely the flip not. And so that was my last day
mm,
at that job, and I called the temp agency and said, don't you ever send me to no shit like that ever again. um but ended up working at Macy's in the Beverly Center
come
in the
on,
men's shoe
Macy's.
department selling shoes.
Mm.
because it was a job and it was the job that I was able to get at the time. And having to put my pride or this expectation for myself of where I should be away because it was about self-preservation and ensuring that I could provide for myself and my child at the time. But being in that role at Macy's actually proved to be a blessing that I didn't know it could be. So being in that space, I've met some amazing people, some who are I'm still in contact with now. But because I had insurance adjuster and analysis background, I would look on the Macy's corporate website when I would go home because I was not feeling selling shoes and being on commission, and folks was trying to run over you to try and get the sale. And it was like, I don't care enough to be fighting y'all over, selling a pair of like maybe one high end shoe that you're gonna get $20 off a $400 sale,
Mm.
maybe before the tax hit and all the rest of that stuff. So I was like, yep, I'm gonna let y'all have it. So I would go home and look on the website to see what was available, and there was an insurance adjuster job available with Macy's corporate that was based in Redondo Beach. And so I applied for that job and ended up getting it and transitioning into that role from the floor sales into a salaried role at Macy's because I kept looking. But being on the inside helped facilitate that transition. And even the leader of the department that I was the insurance department at Macy's, like, you're one of the first people we've ever hired who actually has experience working on the floor or in a store
Wow.
that now can come over here and work on these claims. And it was claims for work comp. So people talking about how they hurt themselves in the store. So I had, but that firsthand knowledge of, someone saying, "Oh, the shoebox hit me in the retina," and it's like, how did the shoebox hit you in the retina? Like, you shouldn't have even. There are tools available. Like, what's going on there? Or people falling off of ladders, and like, why were they over there? I know the layout of the store. How did that happen? And things like that. So having that knowledge from being able to just be there and see it firsthand actually helped me to move into that next role and get the additional experience and to also get my money back up to where it was before I had lost the prior job.
So,
So it was always maintaining a sense of ambition and not to the point of sabotage, but also knowing that things are going to get better, but that you got to stay open and keep looking and know that there are options for you out there, even if you don't see them right now. And they can come from anywhere. So I think that was built in that time. And so the me right now, I'm not particularly like freaked out about, oh no, what's going to happen to me. I'm fine.
yeah,
And I also look out my window and I see trees and I see birds and I see grass, and it's fine. It's not worried about where the next water's coming from. It's not worried about how it's going to eat or how it's going to grow.
come on now.
It's fine,
I
So it's like, if that's okay, why wouldn't I be?
I think that a lot of women have not experienced this, and the sensationalism of the media really does make it seem like the sky is falling and there are no jobs and there are no options. And what your story, like many stories, tells us is that this is temporary, like most things. And from that, from a little, you can make actually a lot. And I think
Mhm.
it's super important that we kind of utilize that as kind of a transition in the conversation of, some women are feeling like they've lost their entire sense of identity because they have lost their job. Um, and this might catch you a little bit off guard, Maiya, but I immediately, when I lost my job, shared with our group me, I lost my job. Maiya did not share with the group that she had lost their job or her job.
Mhm.
Why didn't you share, Maiya?
I didn't feel compelled to initially, and then like we talked yesterday, when I do share, the first question people are like, "Oh." What are you gonna do? I don't flip it out. Like I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm going to be okay no matter what. And that's not to say I don't have days where I'm not happy or there are days where it's rough because it is very, very difficult to go back into the interview and the application cycle. And I don't know if you're doing that as well, Kamika, or if you just completely say, F it, I'm not doing that anymore. But just the whole job interview application cycle, it requires a whole
Yes.
kind of
It's a
like
mindset. You got to be in a certain mindset to do it, I feel like.
you do, but it requires you like summarizing your whole life and everything you've done that's led you to who you are right now and having to present that and prove it to people who don't know you or who think they know exactly what it is that they want in the next person who's coming to fill whatever role, if it's actually a role, because that's a whole nother thing too.
That's a
These
whole
folks
nother
pay,
thing.
posting fake jobs.
Yep.
But that requires not for me. It requires for me a not a lot of noise from the outside
Mm.
of people asking or recommending and thing. And I know that they're not doing it from a malicious place or they're not trying to annoy me. But sometimes it annoys me. But people be like, well, what are you doing? What's gonna happen? And what I have not gotten to that page in the book yet. When I get there, I'll let you know. But right now I'm still trying to figure it out.
I think we all
And so
are.
for me, yeah, we are. And also as a person who just very much I figure stuff out on my own. And that has been my path for quite a bit. So when something comes up, it's like, okay, I gotta, like you said, A, B, C, D, E. These are plans that I need to come up with. And I don't necessarily want to build dependencies with some of those plans
Mm.
because everybody else got their own stuff going on too. So where they can help and where I can see if someone can be beneficial, absolutely I'm going to reach out. Absolutely I'm going to like offer the same support if I can. But if it's something that I can navigate and work through and cogitate on by myself, that's what I'm going to do.
That's
So
fair.
for me it's and I'm also not
She's
I'm
not.
not a big sharer.
She's not.
I'm not. Like
We have to
that's just
pull stuff out of Maya.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not a big sharer. I'm just, announcing this is a sin. I can't like and I don't mean that for people who share, like because I think that again, our circle, our group is a sacred space
Yes.
for us, especially because of the bond that we have. So you sharing there is a beautiful thing because it's indicative of the trust and the support that you know that you have there. And it isn't that I didn't think that I had it, it's just like, okay, this is not something I need necessarily support or encouragement about right now because I'm still trying to figure out what it looks like.
That's fair. I mean, for me, I am not in the mood to go back to corporate. I always say, I my previous employer, I was with them for almost 7 years. And there was literally a transition from the time I was there where the culture was phenomenal to towards the end or towards the end of my tenure. It was like, who are these people? And I've never met them before. And this cannot be the same company that I'm working for. And I am just not in the mood to tap dance right now. It's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. And even when I was going to work this year, I just felt like we're in crazy land. There's fascism happening outside the door. Like, I remember one time during a meeting, I could hear the helicopter flying around my neighborhood. And I'm like, what's going on? And that's when ICE had first started rounding folks up.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, this is happening outside of my window. Anyways, Kamika, I didn't get that report about XYZ. Like, sis, does this even matter in the grand scheme of things? So I know that mentally I'm not there yet. And I don't know when I'm gonna get there in this administration. if I'm if I'm being frank, and I know that a lot of people are feeling that way too, but there's an emboldenedness that's happening around us, especially to Black women in the corporate space. And I don't think that we've had enough. Or we know it's happening, but to say it out loud, I don't think we've been saying it out loud enough. Because while we were part of the 92%, I feel like that 92% is now being punished. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, but is that not the huge messaging that comes out every single day
yeah,
of just like, V for Vendetta?
yeah.
It's like
V
it's
for
like a
Vendetta,
real thing
yes.
for everybody who does not dare say, all hell, whatever the hell he thinks he is.
OT. That's what we call
So
them over
your
here.
your corporate point. So I get it. I totally do. I enjoy being a voice of advocacy in corporate spaces to help illuminate the humanity that is necessary in order for people to succeed. And so that's why I enjoy being in those places and spaces as opposed to being like, F them, I'm just going to do whatever. Because there has to be somebody that says, yo, think about what people are going through, think about what you're asking of them. But then what is it that they're dealing with, not only inside of these walls, be it discrimination, be it just straight up bias, be it, you know, any other kind of adverse situation. But then think about what's happening to them outside and they got it. You want them to leave that at the door. Some of that stuff they can't leave
They
at the door.
can't at
And are
all.
you thinking about that? Are you considering that?
Yeah. So it sounds like, Maiya, you want an in back into corporate. So tell me, what does that look like in this new world, this new brave world that we're working with?
Ideal state or realistic state?
Let's go both.
Okay. So ideal state, it is working with a multinational organization that does not center the US
Mm,
as its cultural blueprint. Because if you look at I'm grateful for the experience that I had working with international audiences and employees, because countries like India, countries in Europe, countries in Asia, they are not just about only about the money. It's about how are we giving back as a whole? How are we improving our communities? How are we pouring into schools? How are we creating our future employees to be as skilled as we want them to be when they come in the door,
mm,
as opposed to it just being an afterthought of, oh, just give them some money and we have the tax write-off, but at the end of the day it's only about our profits inside of these walls. And you have people who are outside, who are employees of the company, who are holding these companies accountable at levels that does not happen in the United States, as it relates to y'all are not living into what you say your mission, your vision, your values are. And so what are you going to do to fix that? Because you're not doing this correctly. That mentality, I love it. I love to see it. And it is very global, but because capitalism and in stage capitalism
hyper capitalism.
has just depleted the moral center of any type of organization that is only US based. It is very rare to find an organization that does still incorporate the people first, or at least taking care of the people so the people can take care of the work mentality. To your example of your prior employer just kind of like it going downhill, I've been in that environment too, where it used to be all about the people, where folks were celebrated, where they were, you know, rewarded for just doing what it is that they said they were going to do. If they went above and beyond, the company went above and beyond to reward people for that. And it just slowly got eroded, and it stopped being about caring about the people who took care of the work. The reputation of the organization shows that, the numbers, their profits, all of that are reflective of the decrease in the investment in people, both emotionally, and financially. So ideal state, be somewhere where they get it, and getting it means that if you have humans working for you, take care of them as humans and invest in them, and help them be the best part of your organization, because then that'll improve your whole reputation as well as the world around you. But realistically, there's a lot of people who are just do, doing things for goodwill and for brand, not recognition, but like to save their brand. Just like in 2020, how many black squares and
Girl, don't get me
we hear you,
started.
we see you, we're listening, what's
Oh,
happening. And now look at it. 2025, they like,
yeah,
absolutely not. We don't need you anymore. Like that black shit is done. Like, don't be out here. And then an organization that actually understands that DEI is not just about black people, it's not just about gay people, it's not just about women, it's not just about Asians, it's not just about Hispanic, Latino people. It is not the flavor of the month. If you're truly doing DEI, it is about everybody.
everyone.
But when you start to parse it so that it becomes a us versus them, or only one can be in the spotlight at a time, you've lost the plot.
Mm.
You've absolutely lost the plot. And that's why so many people don't get what it is, and they don't want to do the work anymore because they don't even know what the work is, because it's been reduced to pouring money into one community at a time in order to prove that you're not bad people,
I
or
think
you're not the big bad company.
so. I think there's an opportunity there for you right now. How do you go and move forward in redefining what DE and I really is? Because I never even thought about it from that perspective. Because yeah, we do have February is Black History Month. March is, I think, Women History Month. Then we have, Veterans Day. Then we have all this. But if we're really doing it right, that diversity is consistent. Not to say that we don't have these times to celebrate, but how can we just make it so that diversity is the fabric and it's just commonplace? Where we're not having to, I guess, divide and separate it anymore. So maybe there's an opportunity there for you to kind of move forward from that perspective. So remember, this podcast is called Black Women Will Save Black Women. So if you can close us out in terms of what do you need, because it sounds like you don't need saving right now, or what can you offer to maybe save someone else? What's something that you might want to share that might help save another Black woman during this time?
I mean, listen, let's not put it out there like that. Because if somebody has an attractive single daddy with disposable income who, you know, I'm cute, I'm nice, and the baby face, I'm 44, I'm grown. Um, but or a brother who's not, too jacked up. Hey, uh,
Well, you heard you.
I'm kidding.
Maya's looking for a partner. I think a lot of us are, but
No, I'm actually not. No, I'm looking
oh,
for a sponsor. Let's be clear.
oh,
No.
okay. Let me make sure I get it right, sis. Sponsorships, okay, is what
Sponsorship,
she is
sponsorship.
seeking.
I'm not
Okay.
looking for. I mean, a partnership if you got your stuff together. If I'm just. I don't ever want to buy another house because I don't need a fixer upper.
Ooh,
Apply that to
ooh,
partnership. Thanks.
ooh.
So I mentor people. I help coach people. Um, that is what I can offer to Black women. I am working with some partners now to develop content that helps underrepresented and historically excluded populations. So while it is Black women, Black men, Black children, it is also others who are left out of the conversation, to overcome their objections to AI adoption
Mm, okay,
as it relates to us being able to compete and not be left behind as it relates to jobs, as it relates to skills, and just our day to day without being fully consumed by the machine.
got it.
So that is something that I am working on, something that I can offer. Um, what people can offer me, if you would like someone to come in and speak to your organization, if you would like leadership development. I love having conversations and real conversations with leaders, especially of large organizations, who think that just because maybe they put some ancillary budget to the side for, you know, diversity or philanthropy, that they're good people, or that they're doing the work, or that, you know, oh, those problems that everybody else is having is not us. It's like, no, if you still are in a room full of people that only look like you've not solved the problem. And what are you doing to proactively ensure that you are reaching all areas of people to improve not only your business, but to contribute back positively to the society that keeps you up and running?
Mm,
So if you like to have leaders have that kind of conversation, I'm happy to have them. I always have my W-9 on deck
I love it.
because, you know,
Drop your
I ain't
LinkedIn.
free.
Drop your
I ain't free.
LinkedIn, your Instagram. Where can people find you, Maiya Winston?
So on my Instagram, you can go to Be a Possibility. BeaPossibility is the Instagram handle for my consulting business. And LinkedIn, Be a Possibility Coaching and Consulting is also there. So if you search LinkedIn for that, I am located there as well. And individually, if you search LinkedIn, Maiya Maiya Winston, I may come up, I may not. I may have a little bit of lockdown on my profile because, you know,
Oh,
people nosy.
I know that's right.
Um, yeah, but open are the Instagram and the LinkedIn pages. And beapossibility.com is my website, which is up and running.
Love it.
Last time I checked,
Oh,
it is up and running. No, I'm kidding. It is. It's up and running.
I love it. Well, thank you, Maiya, for coming in, sharing your story, dropping some gems. I really appreciate you and the time that you just took out of your schedule, which we know has not slowed down since we aren't working. She took time away from golf. I too am a golfer, so I totally understand. You want to
I am
be
working. I'm just not working at that job. I
talk
am
about it.
working.
Oh,
So
we
that's
know.
another thing too. Just because you're not at somebody's job does not mean you're not working. You are working. You are being productive. You are setting yourself up for your next step, whatever that might be.
Love it.
I think that's a mindset shift too, of people feeling like, oh, I don't have a job right now, but you're still working. Because whatever you're doing, you're contributing to that next version of yourself that's going to be ready for the opportunity that's waiting for you.
Well, that is tea, and that is a great way to close us out. Thank you, Maiya. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. So our girl Maiya dropped a lot of gems on today's show. One of the big takeaways that I took, and it is a good way that she ended, is the reframe, right? Before you might have lost your job, we Black women were already doing a ton. When I was working my corporate job, I clocked in for my 9 to 5 and then often clocked in for my 5 to 9, where I was an entrepreneur working on my test prep business, whether it was my coaching business. There was still a lot of work to be done. Also, we're raising families. Maybe take a look at this time to think about how are you able to maybe pour back into some maybe ventures that you've like let to the side. Maybe you can spend more time with your kids, going to their games, maybe with your spouse. I'm a caretaker to an 85-year-old feisty old woman known as my mom. I'm able to pour in more. So the work has not stopped. So think about your value not just being attached to your corporate job, but overall your contributions, yourself, etc., how you can pour into yourself during this time is still work being done. So thank you, Maiya, for reminding of us of that. So every week we get a question in from a listener via email, via the Insta. But this week's question is very, very suitable, very timely for me at least. And the question that came in was, Kamika, thank you for sharing and putting yourself out there. You mentioned that, you have gained a few pounds, a little bit more than a few since being let go. Can you maybe tell me what advice you have to get back on track? Thank you for such a real question. I do not have it completely back on track. In fact, I started this cleanse that my girlfriend recommended for me a few days ago to try to get back on track. I'm miserable, y'all. You drink this brew once when you first wake up, you drink 32 ounces, and then throughout the day you're supposed to drink another 32 ounces. It's disgusting. I'm supposed to eat vegan, raw vegan for the first few days. When I tell you I am miserable, I am miserable. I actually told my therapist today, like, girl, I don't think this is for me. So I'm still trying to figure it back out or figure it out how to get back on track. But I love exercising. So the one thing that I did do this week on a consistent basis is I did workouts every other day until I can get back to working out 6 days a week. So on Monday, I did my YouTube video leg workout. Wednesday, I went and did Pilates. I'm still sore from that. And then today, I would do another YouTube workout because this is a very busy day. So I would say find one thing because my program for my coaching business is called Do One Thing, just one thing. And focus on just doing that one thing consistent. So if it's just for you, I want to eat a healthy breakfast, focus on doing the healthy breakfast every day for the next week. If you love to work out or you're trying to get back, maybe just focus on doing the walk. But try to focus on just one thing and not try to cook everything in the refrigerator right now. So do one thing. One of the valuable programs that Failure Forward Coaching offers. Please definitely, if you're interested in doing one of those programs, check it out. We have codes for some of our listeners. BWSBW is the code for a 20% discount on any of our upcoming workshops. So tune in, check it out. Thank you for the question. Once again, thank you again, Maiya, for showing up and talking us through what we should be kind of looking forward to during this period of respite. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We are still getting the kinks out, and as we evolve and get better. I know that at the end of the day, Black women will save Black women. And that's why I'm here. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard, signing off. Have a good night, y'all.